All right, let's talk about the heart of your off-grid system, the inverter. This thing is a game changer. It takes all that power you've stored in your batteries and makes it actually usable for, well, everything. But here's the deal. Getting this choice right means everything just works. Getting it wrong, we're not just talking about things not turning on. We're talking about real safety risks. So yeah, let's dive in and get this right.
Okay, so you've probably done what everyone does, right? You've watched a bunch of videos, added up the wattage on your stuff, and you've got a number in mind. But what if I told you that simple method everyone teaches might actually be a fire risk? Yeah, today we're going to talk about the stuff that most guides just forget to mention, the stuff that really matters for safety. So here's the split. On one hand, you have the easy-peasy method. Just add up the watts. Simple. Looks good on paper. But then, there's the other side of the coin, the hidden dangers. We're talking about stuff like idle draw. That's a phantom load that's just silently killing your batteries. Or massive DC currents that can literally melt wires. And voltage drop that can make things overheat. See? The simple way isn't just missing a few details. It's downright dangerous.
And that brings us right here to what I like to call the wattage myth. This is all about what most guides get so wrong.
You know, if you look around, most of the advice you'll find is pretty basic. They'll tell you, hey, just match the inverter watts to your appliance watts. Maybe they'll tell you to add a little 25% buffer just in case. And they might touch on sine waves. And look, that's not bad advice, but it's incomplete. It's kind of like a doctor checking only your temperature and saying, yep, you're good to go. It completely misses the big picture and the real signs of trouble.
So to really do this right, we've got to look beyond just the simple wattage. We need to build our choice on a solid foundation. I call it the 4 pillars of sizing. Okay, write these down. A truly safe choice comes down to these 4 things. Power type, and trust me, it's not just one number. Then there's waveform. That's all about the quality of the power. Idle consumption, the power it eats up just by being turned on. And finally, DC current. This is the big one for safety, the critical link to your batteries. First up, power type. Let's break this down. Continuous power, think of that as your car's cruising speed on the highway. It's the steady power the inverter can put out all day, no problem. But surge power? That's like stomping on the gas to get on the freeway. It's that massive, short burst of energy you need to kickstart motors in things like a fridge or a well pump. Here's the kicker. If your surge rating is too low, those things, they just won't start, period.
Pillar number 2, waveform. This is a biggie. You've got pure sine wave, which is beautiful, clean power, just like what you get from the grid. It's safe for literally everything. On the flip side, you have modified sine wave. Think of this as choppy, blocky power. Sure, it might run an old-school light bulb, but it can wreak havoc on sensitive electronics, mess with motors, and forget about using it for medical gear. Honestly, for any modern off-grid setup, pure sine wave isn't just a nice-to-have, it's the only real choice. Now, for something that people almost always forget, and it's a silent battery killer. It's called idle consumption. This is the phantom load, the power your inverter is sipping from your batteries 24/7, even when nothing is turned on. It might seem like just a few watts, but add that up over days, weeks, months, and a high idle draw can seriously drain your precious battery bank. Okay, this might be the most important pillar of all when it comes to safety. We're talking about DC input current. So get this, to give you, say, 2,000 watts of regular AC power, your inverter has to pull a massive amount of DC current from your batteries. We're talking over 160 amps. That huge number is what tells you how thick your wires need to be and what size fuse to use. And if you get this wrong, well, that's literally how fires start. It's that serious. All right, now that we've got those 4 pillars locked in, let's actually put this stuff to work. Calculating your true power needs is actually a super simple 2-step process. Let's do it. Step 1, figure out your total simultaneous load. What does that mean? Just add up the wattage of everything you think you might run at the exact same time. Step 2, add a 20% safety buffer on top of that number. This covers you for little power spikes and system inefficiencies. It's simple, right? But that buffer, it's absolutely non-negotiable. Okay, let's run a quick example. Imagine you're going to have your fridge running, a few lights on, your laptop plugged in, and maybe the water pump kicks on. You do the math, and it all adds up to about, let's say, 1,500 watts. That's our starting point. Now we add that crucial safety buffer. What's 20% of 1,500? That's 300 watts. So we add 300 to our 1,500, and we get 1,800 watts. And that's your magic number. It means you need to shop for an inverter with a continuous power rating of at least 1800 watts. That'll let you run everything safely without putting any stress on the system.
Okay, we've sized the inverter, but now we have to talk about maybe the most critical safety step in the whole setup, connecting that inverter to your battery. This is all about the wiring and protection, and you have to get this part right.
Remember that crazy high DC current we mentioned earlier? Well, this is where it really matters. That number is what tells you exactly how thick your wires need to be and what fuse you need. And let me be crystal clear, this is not a suggestion. It is non-negotiable for fire safety. Using wires that are too thin is like trying to force a river through a garden hose. They will overheat, and that's incredibly dangerous. So here's how it works, and you have to get this relationship right. The more DC current, more amps your inverter pulls, the thicker the wire has to be. And with wire, a thicker wire actually has a lower gauge number, which can be a little confusing. Then you have to match that with the right size fuse. You should always use a chart like this one to figure it out. You can usually find one from your inverter's manufacturer or in any standard electrical codebook. Don't guess. Okay, we're almost there. Let's cover the final safety check. Think of this as your system's last line of defense. This is what keeps everything running safely for the long haul. These are the golden rules, you guys. Absolutely do not skip these. 1. Inverters get hot, so give them space to breathe. They need good ventilation. 2. Keep the inverter away from the batteries. Why? Batteries can sometimes release explosive gases. You don't want those near a piece of hot electronics. 3. Use the right breakers and fuses. We just talked about this. It's critical. And 4. Make sure everything is properly grounded. This protects you and your expensive gear from any stray electricity. So, I want to leave you with this final thought, and it's super important. Choosing an inverter isn't just about adding up watts. It's about understanding the whole system. If you take away only one thing from this, let it be this. Never, ever skip the proper fuse. And don't ignore voltage drop. That's when you lose power over a long wire run, causing things to heat up. These two things are the most common causes of inverter failure, and worst of all, fires. Getting these details right is how you protect your gear, your home, and yourself.